When I was in middle school, I had a sleepover at my house with two of my friends from school. Like any good sleepover from the late 2000s, we stayed up all night eating junk food, watching movies, and of course playing video games, specifically my Xbox 360. One of my friends made a last-minute call to bring some of his own games in case we got bored of the usuals we always ended up playing. This was in an era where bringing discs over to friends' houses to play different games was commonplace as there was no pre-downloads. Just maybe bring an extra controller or two for split screen. Specifically, he brought 4 of his own games, of which included Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Burnout Paradise, the Incredible Hulk game from 2008, and Batman Arkham Asylum, which ended up becoming the 4 games we played for the entire night. We took turns destroying Kashyyyk, totaling our cars, rampaging throughout the city, and taking out henchmen until the sun came up. But as good of a night as it was, I never ended up buying any of the games to play for myself. Although Burnout was accidentally left in my disc tray, but nevertheless the seeds were planted and laid dormant in my head for years. Recently a different friend of mine got on a bit of a Batman kick, and it rubbed off on me, so I decided to give Arkham Asylum a shot because, well, it was on sale, and it had been 15 years since I actually played it, and I loved it. So naturally I then played through Arkham City, Origins, and Knight respectively. Everything about these games were incredible, and the Arkham acorn seed that had been planted in my mind all those years ago had sprouted and grown into a full-blown mighty Arkham oak tree. Everything from the story and world that Rocksteady as well as WB Montreal had built, to the gameplay that made you feel like Batman, felt incredible, and I was enthralled. But something stuck out to me as the real reason I had come to enjoy these games. While there are other villains that take moments in the limelight through the games, such as Scarecrow and Black Mask, and even other playable protagonists like Nightwing and Catwoman, the Arkham games are, at its core, about the storytelling of the relationship between Batman and the Joker. It's a tale as old as the characters themselves, and though at times it may feel a bit tiresome, especially on first playthroughs of the series, when it is all said and done, the core of the Arkham mainline games handles 2 births as well as 2 deaths in the duration of the story these games are trying to tell, each illustrating their own themes and motifs that it brings to the table. The ordering may be a little odd, so City fans bear with my pacing as I ask myself,
what about
Arkham?
The interpretation of Batman and the Joker is nothing new, especially in the post-Dark Knight internet we inhabit. These characters had been around for roughly 70 years leading up to the release of Arkham Asylum, and rather than starting with an origin story, Rocksteady Studios decided to start the Arkham series several years into the existence of these 2 characters in the Arkhamverse. We are introduced in the middle. Therefore, there are a few things the developers needed to rely on in terms of world building, but still make evidently clear to new players. And new players, they would have aplenty following the explosion of the Dark Knight's popularity a year prior to Asylum's release. The Dark Knight's popularity both introduced and informed a lot of people who were unfamiliar with the Batman and Joker's dynamic to learn about their similarities, differences, and how their relationship relies on each other, or at least how one of them relies on the other a lot more. In Arkham Asylum's opening cutscene, Batman has done it. He's already caught the Joker, and our introduction is clear the first time we lay eyes upon them. Joker is squirming around in the back seat with handcuffs on, cracking jokes, and laughing to himself, while Batman is quiet, firm, and stoic driving the Batmobile to the gates of Arkham Asylum. It is this early we see how polar opposite these 2 are, and yet here they are both wearing their costumes and arriving at the same place in Gotham City. One stands for justice and order, while the other stands for chaos and entropy. One serious, one relaxed. Again, as early as when they arrive at the asylum, Batman has determined that something is off and that he is going to go with them during the prisoner transport. During the walk, we see Batman is quietly walking the halls, analyzing the events that happened before the game started, while Joker is merely wisecracking to the guards and biding his time until he can put his plan into action. This long sort of interactive cutscene does a phenomenal job at establishing the tone of the many characters that will be seen and even fought during this single night. But once it's over, there's very minimal face-to-face interaction between Batman and the Joker until the end of the game. Their dynamic is expressed through a series of monitors and voice alerts as Batman gets closer and closer to the final party. When he does manage to catch up to the Joker, he is always one step away, but not within reach. He even gives Batman a chance to kill him after the first encounter with the Titan serum-infused prisoner, and Batman thinks about it, ultimately deciding not to. But this event is the series' first look into the Joker's obsession with Batman's codes and morals that get expanded on in the games to come. The idea of death is merely a game to the Joker. He couldn't care less if he's alive, dead, or locked up in a cell, as his chaotic nature merely takes things as destiny. A destiny he can do nothing else but laugh at. When witnessing Joker's chaotic agency, there is a bit of calculation that takes place in Arkham Asylum. He is smart after all. The story of the aforementioned Titan serum gets unraveled by Batman, and it is Joker who has been secretly funding this project to begin with under the alias Jack White, not that one, and as layers of the puzzle keep unraveling themselves, we see that Batman was more than correct on his initial assessment, and something was indeed very, very wrong. When it finally becomes time for the big party at the end of the game, it appears that Joker initially tries to shoot Commissioner Gordon with the Titan serum, but not before Batman is able to dive in front of the dart and gets injected with it himself. This doesn't upset Joker. It actually does the opposite. Thinking Batman is going to turn into a monster, he decides to shoot himself with a dart as well, hoping it'll lead to an all-out brawl between the two of them in Titan form on the roof of Arkham Asylum, with a news helicopter televising the fight live. All the world's a stage, and to the Joker, he's merely playing another part by the camera, as seen by him constantly taunting during the fight, while Batman is able to resist the change. He doesn't allow himself to become the monster that Joker does, yet another indication of how these two carry themselves, and Batman is ultimately able to use the only antidote on himself and put Joker behind bars once again. Where Joker represents this agent of fate and succumbing to chaos, Batman acts as rejection to the idea with his use of free will and choice. He chooses to follow Joker into the asylum, he chooses not to kill anyone, and he chooses to save Gordon from the Titan dart, as even Batman has a part to act. All the world's indeed a stage, and we are merely players, performers, and portrayers. Combating against itself in a world where comic book games weren't really all that good, and a movie that had shifted everyone's perception of who Batman and Joker are, Arkham Asylum didn't tiptoe its way into Gotham, but hit the ground running at a full sprint, giving us the birth of a series and doing a damn good job at introducing the world to its own version of Gotham's performers and players in what is the birth of the Arkham series. Of course, for there to be two deaths, we first need two births, and in this case, the second birth in the series comes from its origins, and the split result two individuals share from each having their own version of one bad day. Arkham Origins is an aptly named origin story to the narrative being told. We see Batman fresh into the cowl. The status of Batman isn't really clear to everyone yet, with many believing he's just a myth. Here we see the Bat at his craziest. He's short-tempered and impatient. It is through the actions of this story that define who he is and what he becomes for the city. This game sets up what appears to be a Black Mask antagonist-centered game, with a hit being carried out by Black Mask against the Batman with Gotham's most dangerous bounty hunters and criminals. A story that itself is relatively inoffensive, especially being made by WB Montreal to fill a release gap between the release of Arkham City and Knight, and even seems like it'll put a spotlight on some DC characters that may be underrepresented in non-comic media. What initially comes off as a relatively run-of-the-mill story gets hijacked by the first time we hear the name Joker within the Arkhamverse timeline chronologically, as it's the first time Batman hears it. A story of how he rises to prominence after imitating and stealing resources and manpower from Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask, that ramps up its pacing very quickly. From finding out who the Joker is, to tracking him down to Gotham Merchants Bank, to the maze-like entanglement within the Gotham Royal Hotel, a level that sort of feels like the final stage of the game, but it's evident that it is clearly too early in the game for that to actually be the case. It is after the fight with Bane we get the most telling part of their origin story. Once flung off the roof, Batman jumps to save the Joker. Even after killing hotel staff and blowing up a building, the ill-tempered Batman stays loyal to his no-kill rule, and the Joker is immediately infatuated with this concept. Any of the assassins he's contracted, or even the Gotham City police themselves, would let a man like this fall to his death. He even immediately tests Batman again to see if it was a fluke or if he really did mean to save him. He tells Batman that he was trying to kill him and proceeds to shoot 2 of his own men, killing them right in front of Batman. He's aggravating him, trying to see if he can get the Bat to slip up. He doesn't, so the Joker then turns the gun on himself and attempts to pull the trigger, but not before Batman slaps the gun out of his hand and puts the Joker on the ground. He's not upset, but laughing. He was right. Batman won't kill the Joker, nor will he let him die. This isn't just some vigilante, but someone that's actually just as crazy as he is. And he recognizes this immediately. His warped mind immediately becomes enamored with Batman as he sees how crazy they both really are. And even the Gotham City police can't believe that anyone other than the Joker's partner would save him. The Joker then gets to immediately reflect on this during his entry examination with who would eventually become Harley Quinn. This is where their relationship is truly born, as Joker ruminates about how maybe fate hasn't been so cruel to him like he previously thought, but rather shaped his entire existence for the moment that he'd meet Batman. In these flashbacks, he doesn't view Batman as a hero, or even a villain, but an inhuman entity, a fearsome devil of destiny. Every cruel moment in the Joker's life had led up to the moment where he would be saved from that freefall. The language he uses in this examination mirrors that of a diary entry talking about a high school crush or first love, as he has found someone who finally understands him. After all, the Batman persona is also the result of one bad day. Realizing their similarities and feeling bound by destiny, the Joker wastes no time, and while Batman is working on Firefly, he seizes control of Blackgate Prison, and it is there that the Joker's obsession yet again tries to push Batman's no-kill rule to the point of breaking, by hooking himself up to an electric chair that's being charged by Bane's heart rate. If Batman doesn't kill Bane, then Joker will get electrocuted, resulting in a death either way. At this point, the Joker is so fascinated by Batman that he's willing to put his own life on the line yet again in this theatric way just to see what Batman will do. He even thinks he succeeds for a while as Batman does stop Bane's heart temporarily, fooling the Joker and GCPD into thinking he killed Bane. Every result ends in a laugh, because the Joker is always satisfied with the chaos that ensued. It is not until the end, when Batman reveals that he saved Bane by choosing to defibrillate his heart, that Joker turns the dial from 10 to 11. We see his best attempts at reasoning.
We both exist because of them!
The Joker doesn't care about his own life, he only cares about Batman. We see this as his cries about dismissals regarding society turn into reasons to kill him.
Come on, baby. Beat me till your knuckles bleed. Why quit there? You know there's only one way to stop me.
But like the Joker, Batman is the same way. He won't be teased or tilted off the path that he has chosen for himself. They both believe that they can transform the other with their own brand of morality and code. That's what the origin story sets up. It chooses to forgo an action hero style of storytelling to strengthen the relationship of its characters that, at this point, was the series' third mainline installment. Yes, the Christmas assassination plot would have been alright, and yet I find myself glad that they didn't go that route. That story WB Montreal was able to tell gives us the birth of the relationship between these two, and gives reason as to why the Joker is so obsessed with the Batman, as they both believe there's nothing so cruel as memory.
Wake up, Mr. Wayne.
The direct dichotomy between Batman and Joker's fate versus choice beliefs is best represented throughout the duration of Arkham City, where Joker believes his one bad day was meant to push him towards the destiny of meeting his adversary. Batman believes that his one bad day led to a choice, a decision that, instead of giving in to the chaos of Gotham City and the events that led to his parents' death, he will turn that anger inward and directly fight against injustice. When he claims to be vengeance, or that he is upholding a promise that he made, it is for Thomas and Martha Wayne. He is being the hero that Gotham needed that night when his parents were unnecessarily killed in Crime Alley, and it is this trauma that directs his every action. It is this trauma that led to the birth of Batman. In the Joker's eyes, it is all destiny, as the two were always meant to cross each other's paths, and it doesn't matter to him who Batman is, but rather what he is, and what he represents.
Back here, Harley. Everyone's who you think they are, my dear. Why spoil the fun?
Joker couldn't care less if Batman is Bruce Wayne. He cares about breaking him down. And similarly, Batman doesn't necessarily care who the Joker is. He cares about putting him behind bars for the crimes he's committed, and even treating him for his levels of insanity that he exhibits. Joker's need for Batman strengthens when he gives the blood transfusion to Batman, making them both sick with the same blood mutation that happened 18 months prior because of the Titan serum back in Arkham Asylum. There is now a time limit during this battle that hasn't really existed up to this point. Yes, they have fought each other before, but now Batman is fighting against a physical mutation that could kill him and the Joker, and they even work in tandem with each other during some aspects of creating a cure. Does this really exist as a symbiotic relationship between the two? Or maybe it's just parasitic. Does Batman need Joker as much as Joker clearly needs Batman? In voicemail 3, Joker states that he knows that he's the closest person that Batman is able to relate to. Not Robin, not Alfred, but his arch enemy. Now this may be true, but it's unclear if Batman really believes this because, for instance, him and Oracle have a close relationship, both dealing with loss and essentially fighting on the same team against injustice. And though Joker constantly calls Batman his best friend, it is not far-fetched to assume that Batman does not reciprocate these feelings. It doesn't matter if it's the Joker, Scarecrow, or the Riddler, as Batman will always fight against those who break the law and disobey both civil and moral codes. He always finds himself fighting against the Joker because, well, the Joker is really good at what he does. His level of chaotic insanity yet calculated planning always seems to be a step above the plans of Batman's other adversaries, and now that the Joker's life is on the line, he knows that there is only one man that can save him. It's someone that saved him before. Arkham City introduces what is the closest Batman comes to breaking his no-kill rule, even closer than when he actually stopped Bane's heart. At the end of the game, we see the first sign that Batman is actually weighing out the benefits of letting Joker die, and Joker even taunts him during that thought process.
Quick! The cure! What are you waiting for? Come on! I killed your girlfriend, poisoned Gotham and hell. It's not even breakfast. But so what? We all know you'll save me.
But Batman hesitates here, and that hesitation is just enough to drive a desperate Joker frantic. In the past, Batman has shown no reluctance towards risking his own life to save Jokers, but now Batman reflects on the actions of his choice, but is now only being considered for the first time. During this consideration, the Joker takes matters into his own hands to save himself, which ultimately backfires.
Are you happy now?
This line has always stuck out to me, because it implies that Batman wants Joker dead, but has never been able to kill him because of his no-kill rule. But this isn't what Batman wants. In fact, it's exactly why he has his no-kill rule in place. I don't think he's happy that Joker is lapping up the cure off the ground, but he knows that Joker's long-awaited consequences are a result of his actions and choices, again where the Joker views this outcome as fate. He was destined to die by his own brand of mayhem. It is only then, when it is too late, that Batman tells the Joker that even after all the lives taken, and all the lives he would take after surviving the blood mutation, he would have saved him, reinforcing that his no-kill rule is unbreakable, and this would have been no exception. It's as if Batman had to solve his own version of the trolley dilemma when contemplating what to do with the second half of the cure. Withholding it would have led directly to the death of the Joker, whereas giving it to him could lead to the potential of losing more lives to the hands of him. It is only within the randomness of these circumstances that the Joker can do nothing else but laugh at the humor found within it all, dying satisfied and with a smile on his face. It was the Joker's fate to die even when Batman was choosing to save him. It is only when Joker makes a choice to try and steal the cure that he seals his death as his destiny. As Batman carries Joker out, he remains silent, not saying a word to anybody, as he lays a crestfallen Joker over the hood of a cop car. We don't ever get more than a glimpse into what Batman is thinking throughout our time controlling him, but right now, his silence speaks louder than any words could. The ending mirrors the painting seen in the beginning of the game, the painting of Cain and Abel, duality of man. And though their story isn't a carbon copy of the story being told in the book of Genesis, the parallels are there, and as Jonathan Golden says in his Screen Rant article, one has to imagine that Batman and Cain suffered the same sentiment, conflicted by the dueling ideas that they and their rivals could never sustainably coexist, yet they are lost without their counterparts. How do you carry on a Batman and Joker saga when the latter has been cremated at the start of the final Arkham game?
Miss me?
Following the Joker's death in Arkham City, it felt that there was finally going to be a new villain to take center stage. And in a sense, there is Scarecrow. Back from an unpleasant encounter with Killer Croc, he sets the stage for Rocksteady's final look into a battle that spanned across 4 games. Scarecrow's entire persona is based on the idea of fear, and it is in his own fear toxins as well as the blood mutation in Batman's body that allows the Joker to breathe his life into an Arkham game one last time. What I love most about this interpretation is that because the Joker is all in Batman's head, it gives us the most detailed look at his introspection, as in his thoughts, decisions, and his insecurities. Up until this game, Batman has been a stoic, deliberate, classic action hero, and he still is. But using the Joker as a commentating Looney Tune-like devil on his shoulder finally contextualizes what he really thinks throughout the duration of an Arkham game. For instance, during the kidnapping and further on the alleged death of Barbara Gordon, we actually see how this weighs upon his mental state. Throughout the rest of the game, the Joker, acting as his conscience, is telling Batman that he needs to tell Robin and Gordon about this, as it is something they clearly need to know about, but Batman keeps putting it off, and even lying in some instances, and it clearly weighs on him. He feels Barbara's death is at his own hands, as she was directly involved with him as Oracle for a long time, and her involvement with the Batman has now directly led to her death. Now Batman, known for his intelligence and willpower, may be in the right for ignoring Joker in these scenes, as he's been fooled by this before, back in the asylum. Therefore, in Night, he's still weighing whether or not to tell Gordon and Robin because he cannot be sure if what he saw was real or merely a hallucination from the effects of Scarecrow's fear toxin. After all, fear's theatrics. This tug of war continues throughout the entirety of the game, and as the fear toxin becomes more prevalent, so does the hallucinations, as does the Joker's presence in Batman's consciousness. In the airships, Batman gets sprayed with fear toxin. His eyes turn green. Joker is the one in control now. Joker is the one he's fighting. And as a room full of Jokers convince him to shoot Scarecrow, Batman gives in to the temptation. As he pulls the trigger, his eyes go back to blue, and he falls to his knees at the action he's believed himself to have committed. Seeing Scarecrow still alive is relief that he isn't fully off the deep end yet. But even Scarecrow has noticed that something is in fact different. His toxins are having a different effect of fear within Batman. It's not scream at the monster scared or trippy world-like break like it was in Asylum. It's a fear from within, and how that fear can take control and manifest itself into something far scarier than a simple bad acid trip. Even as Henry Adams is purifying the gene pool, he sees the Joker that lies within Batman and tells him he's going to be spectacular. A fellow Joker blood mutant reinforcing what the Joker inside Batman's head has been telling him this whole time. As Batman gets closer and closer to putting an end to the fear toxin and finding a cure, the Joker inside becomes more desperate, telling Batman that there isn't a point. There is no cure. Ivy is useless. There's nothing to fight for. There's no city to save, so you might as well give in to the Joker side. These fights even come to fruition as physical altercations at times, and even when you win the battle and snap Joker's neck, you still lose, as now there is a second instance in which Batman breaks his no-kill rule. Joker is overpowering Batman's mind, and Batman loses his willpower and for a moment is shown what would happen if he doesn't regain control. Rampaging thugs with his Batmobile, killing all of his adversaries and letting Gotham fall to ruin, with Alfred begging for him to come to his senses and put a stop to it, as the hero the city deserves has become the villain that they are helpless to. This is what he fears most. This is why he does what he does. Batman, when dosed with more fear toxin, has to win his mind back, and in an inception level of fear inside of fear beats Joker at his own game. As Joker's in control, it is Batman who becomes manifested as the Joker's biggest fear, and he is shown that his life has been forgotten and meaningless. His grave has been vandalized. His wake is empty, with Harley Quinn the only attendee. The citizens of Gotham confuse him with the Riddler. Joker gets more and more afraid, and Batman takes full advantage of this. Batman is the reason that Joker will be forgotten and locks him away in yet another asylum, but this is one that he will never be able to escape from.
I need you.
Joker dies for the last time, as now the memory is being forgotten, and in due time his name will be uttered in its finality. There is no more fear in Batman. In fact, this night, there will be no more need for him. He's accomplished what he set out to do, and in his absence, Gotham will be able to rebuild itself and become born again as a city that rises from the ashes. In his tormented state, Batman could have ended up corrupt like Jason Todd, who wasn't able to overcome the mental obstacle that Joker tortured into him. He instead becomes more like Barbara Gordon, who was physically disabled at the Joker's hand, and instead of letting his brand of chaos and hatred turn her against those who failed to protect, such as her father and the GCPD, she instead finds a unique way to help the citizens of the city in her own way. What Batman and the Joker had wasn't symbiotic, but parasitic. The Joker needed Batman, but Batman never needed Joker, and yet now that the Joker's gone, so is Batman. However, the end of Batman was not at causation of the Joker going away. That was months ago, at the end of Arkham City. Batman goes away because it is the only way he can protect Gotham now. In a series that is notorious for making you feel like Batman, Arkham Knight's storytelling is able to give a unique and special perspective at how Batman actually feels during an Arkham game. He has his doubts and his insecurities, and having the Joker constantly present to torment him allows the inner thoughts of Batman's head to express themselves in such a way that doesn't even require him to talk. And having the Joker constantly present to torment him allows the inner thoughts of Batman to express themselves in such a way that doesn't even require him to talk. As Batman locks Joker away in the final moments of the game, he realizes that the only thing he ever had to be afraid of is gone. He is in control of his own destiny through the merits of his own actions. This sentiment is echoed throughout the city, as even with the Caped Crusader gone, the ripples of his actions reflect on the citizens and wrongdoers in the city long after the Nightfall Protocol is put into execution. The second death in the series allows for a final birth in the series. The birth of a new era of peace and bliss in Gotham City. Honestly, these 4 games do an amazing job at telling the story, but funny enough, upon my first playthrough, I, like many others, was a little over the Joker by the time I hit Origins, as I had played 2 games with a Joker story up to that point, and was excited to experience a new main villain as Batman. But as I played Origins, I really started to enjoy the story that is told over what is initially thought to be a series of boss fights culminating in a Black Mask fight. It wasn't until I had finished Arkham Knight that I really appreciated what Rocksteady and WB Montreal had executed between the 2 studios. I wanted to relive these interactions again, even already knowing where they'd go, and ended up finding a bunch of hidden clues within the dialogue that I had missed in my initial playthroughs. I know I also neglected a lot of other reasons that made the Arkham games so phenomenal, such as the great interactions and story beats with other villains, like Origins Bane being able to discover Batman's identity, or City's Doctor Strange and the entire politics that go along with the citywide prison and the fulfillment of Protocol 10. The combat, predator, and puzzle sections are also a sort of golden triangle of Arkham's level design that is easy to pick up and hard to master of the former 2. All of these could have had a whole video to themselves, but if I included too much secondary work, it would have detracted too much from the clash and conflict Rocksteady was trying to spotlight. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that along with the dialogue, the vocal performances of Kevin Conroy as Batman and Mark Hamill as the Joker have an undeniable chemistry, and mastery of the embodiments of these characters as they interact separate themselves from a world of Christian Bales, Ben Afflecks, Heath Ledgers, and Jared Leto's. As well, Paul Dini's writing for the first 2 Arkham games deserve a level of his own praise, as he was able to lay down incredible groundwork for 2 other teams to build upon in Origins and Knight. To answer what about Arkham, I'm answering what I think makes it so exceptional, beyond its incredible controls and gameplay that you can find dozens of other videos about. I find that what stands out to me from a story perspective boils down to a no holds barred battle that takes place over 4 games, with writing and actors that really understood the characters that they were bringing to life and death, order and chaos, choice and destiny, Batman and the Joker.
Only you can make this world seem right. Only you can make the darkness bright. Only you and you alone can thrill me like you do, and fill my heart with love for only you. Only you can make this change in me, for it's true, you are my destiny. When you hold my hand, I understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only you. Only you can make this change in me, for it's true. You are my destiny. When you hold my hand, I understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only you.
Because he cannot be sure if what he saw was real or